All right, welcome everybody to the 30-something podcast.
We back at it again.
This is one of your co-hosts, Shantone. I got my man Josh.
Josh in real life. Follow me.
Nice drop. Go ahead and drop that.
Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing today, though?
Good, bro. Oh, we got Thompson here. What's going on?
We can't drop our phones on the table because it'll pick up. It's cool. I'll cut it out. Hey, this is a work in progress. We gonna get it though.
My bad, guys.
Yeah. We got a wonderful special guest by the name of my boy Khalil. How you doing, Lil?
Doing well, man. What up, though, world?
All right, Khalil, why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Man, I'm a cancer. Nah, I'm just playing. Nah, I'm from Detroit, man. From the D.
D.
Yes, sir. I'm a noob. I know I'm around, this is the IOTA podcast on the low. You know what I mean?
This is a cultural podcast. We don't limit ourselves to...
Nah, I could dig it. But, I went to Kentucky State, man. I pledged Kappa, Alpha Psi, you know what I mean? And in Charlotte now, man, just trying to make my way through life, man.
Another commute just like us, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
That's cool. Well, I guess y'all ready to get started with the show?
Oh, yeah. We're about to have some fun today.
Right, let's go.
Good talk.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. I know you're sick and tired of waiting on me, girl, but I just trying to get my money right. Soon as I'm done, we can take a flight so I can take you all around the world. Planes, trains, automobiles, Bentley or a range, chromed out deals. First class ticket, G4, you that deal for real. I can take you all around the world.
All right, so everybody, listen. I got a pretty cool little topic of discussion today. I want to talk about traveling, how important it is to actually travel, in your 30s. So, the difference between your 20s and your 30s, I want to get you guys' opinion, especially about, what you've done, where you recommend to go, and the things you must do when you travel. All right?
Well, I gotta say, all I know is the biggest important factor with traveling between 20s and 30s is your financial situation.
Oh, facts.
That's the number one thing you gotta consider. In your 20s, you may not have the liquidity to do what you want to do, but in your 30s, you could been around the world in like shout out to Mason Diddy, So,
Hey, I'm gonna have to Google liquidity. I never heard that word before. Never heard that word before.
Like current assets, cash money.
Yeah.
Shout out to Baby and Slim and all them.
I'm gonna have to add that to my actual,
Your vernacular.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to add that to the vocabulary.
Got you, man.
Yeah, but traveling is important. You got to see the world. It's such a beautiful world.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy how many people I come across in my family and friends who ain't been nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Haven't gone
That's
anywhere.
the thing. I got so many family members. They ain't even been out of the metro area of the county lines.
Hey, but you know what? Though? This is what I'll say about this topic, is because what I consider traveling. Someone may laugh at me. If you're like, like those are the only places.
I got friends like that too.
Been,
Well, I'm gonna go to Atlanta for the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, Atlanta. All right, that's like a trip down the road.
Hey, or going to like Miami or Puerto Rico or DR. Some folks gonna say like this gentleman right here,
Shanto. Where you been at? That passport filled up, huh?
I got a couple steps. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But actually, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I actually was in Paris. Okay. So hung out. I was there for 8 days. Just soaked up the culture, enjoyed the vibe. The jet lag was crazy.
Hey, so and I don't mean to cut you off, but this is gonna sound like a dumb question, but there's gonna be people that's gonna want to know, what was your experience like being black over there in Paris?
The coolest thing about that is really understanding that, the actual second language there, 9 times out of 10 is maybe, because they speak French, then Greek, then English. But actually seeing black African Americans there that didn't speak a lick of English. And
took you for a trip, huh?
Oh, man, it was so cool. Well, I sat down with a mom, and she was translating in French to her son what me and her were talking about in French. Was just a crazy, super dope experience. Like, I really appreciated that. So, the coffee was great. The food was okay. You don't go to Paris for food because everybody's in shape and skinny. So you really don't go there for that. You go there for the culture, the vibe, the energy.
And see, and that's the thing, and I think that's what touches on the main reason why you travel, because like you can spend your money on like tangible things, cars, clothes, computers, all that, but you can't take that with you when you die. You know, all you could have is like experience the experiences, the moments, like the things that hold on, that last longer than the clothes, cars, and all that. That's why I feel like traveling is like the most important thing I think you could do, because you're only on this planet for a finite amount of time, so you might as well experience as much as you can.
And to pinpoint what you're saying is that, I'm a very cultured dude, so in my 20s I've learned and read a lot of stuff. So the one cool thing I really wanted to go over there is actually get into some art. So I really found a little Banksy, right? He's just like very controversial, social, just conscious artist that, does some pretty cool things. When you guys get a chance, most definitely search Banksy. But I got to see some of his art live.
Let me find out you freaking kidnapped the Mona Lisa and brought that thing overseas, man.
Hey, you know what I would say that I appreciate.
Shout out to the Louvre, though.
Oh, really? You dropping the Louvre now? All right.
What I was gonna say is what I appreciate about traveling and seeing like seeing black people all over. Especially like you think about the black experience in America, how it could be different depending on what region of the country that you live in. But then if you go to like the Caribbean, if you go to Jamaica, you go to DR, you go to Puerto Rico, you see like black people everywhere. Excuse me. And that's neat. So I just wanted to know about your experience going over to Europe, because we're over there too. We're all over the world, and then I always just like to learn about what is the black experience.
Khalil, what you recommend about traveling, man?
Yeah, let's ask the new.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a really interesting topic right there. I mean, I must say, I'm from the D, so I grew up. I wasn't one of those, or didn't have one of those childhoods where we went to Disneyland, or even being from Ohio and you got Cedar Point. I didn't even go to Cedar Point until later on in my life. Like into high school. Traveling for me was being able to even go to downtown Detroit. So I was one of those people who didn't even leave the city like you had mentioned earlier. But when I left the college and when I went to Kentucky State, that me leaving home, because I was one of those people that was like, I'm never leaving here. You know what I mean? Most people, especially if you're from the hood, you want to travel, but you really don't want to travel. And when you really do travel and you really get to see the world, I'm not saying you don't want to go back home, but you want to travel even more. You know what I mean? Now I don't have a passport yet. I'm sorry.
We gotta go get this man a passport. We gotta go, man.
As you were saying. Oh, go ahead.
But you've been to Miami though.
I've definitely been to Miami.
Okay. But that's a passport in itself.
Oh yeah, like you gotta speak Spanish and Creole.
You gonna lose your girl on spring break.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, but it's cool though, because I think it's great. The bigger picture is to encourage folks from those small towns, from the hood, just to go to another state, like go
It's baby
go
steps,
a few hours away, and encourage them, and if that's all they can do, that's all they can do. But what people don't realize is that traveling abroad is cheaper than you may think it is.
True, man. Facts.
Well, it depends where you go now.
I'm gonna drop a hidden jewel. Next trip, I'm going to Cuba before they stop, letting us get up in there.
Man.
But it's not that expensive. It's under $1,000. I promise you, for 2 people. So that's 5 days. So that's a jewel drop. Do your research. Everybody don't go at once because you're going to mess it up for me. But make sure y'all get out, do some research, travel, and just go wherever you want to go.
Absolutely.
All right. So guess what? One of my main pet peeves is no new friends.
Oh, no new friends.
Okay, hold on.
No new friends.
So, what do you mean by friends? Define friends.
So, when you are in your early 20s, you meeting, you socializing, you coming across so many people, right? Mm-hmm. But as you get into your 30s, the people that end up staying around 9 times out of 10 were the original friends in the first place, and the new friends sometimes can cloud or push your views in different ways that either could be negative or positive, right? So it's cool to always establish new friends, but me on a personal level, I think that I have more of an in-depth, like, kindred spirit to certain people, where it's okay to invite certain people. But 9 times out of 10, my circle is like 7 fingers, man. I can't really, get into actually adapting.
Well, you think, as you get older, you get more mature. You're kind of set in your way of thinking of the world, so you only invite people in that you kind of have that, symbiotic type of link with that person.
What age do you feel like that clicks in for you?
As far as the cutoff for bringing in new friends?
New friends, and when you know that about that yourself, when you know that.
I don't know. So
it's different for different people.
It's different because I would say you're not the same person that you were when you were 20. So
I was a savage when
I was saying. So hey, I look at that.
We were talking about friends, you know that, right?
And listen, I look at that.
Many friends.
I look at that in 2 ways.
I was dirt bagging.
You have the friends who you struggle with, who you came up with, and they came up with you. So I got some people who knew me at my lowest moments, and I've seen them grow and I've grown, and we kind of shared the struggle and we shared that growth into where we are now. Mm-hmm. But I also got some friends that are still doing the same things that they were doing, and I would say that we're still friends, we're still boys, but I mean, I don't.
You kind of put some distance
I don't
in
talk
between.
to them, yeah.
So how does that energy look when you went into that?
Listen, but
how's that energy?
It's kind of like sometimes when you go home, you call your old homie, you go chill, you may go to a bar, lounge, you may talk about old times, but you may not have new times to talk about because they may have gone their way in life and you've gone yours. But what I was also going to say on the flip side is as you grow, you may meet new people along the way that you can relate to. Now, I would say I don't know how tight you can really be because they don't know you from your lowest moments, but you can also meet people along the way in the journey. So I was kind of holding my thoughts to tell you that I disagree, man.
When I moved here to Charlotte like 4.5 years ago, like I met some people here that I think I consider like I think they're gonna be around for a while. So don't limit yourself to meeting new people and getting new connections just because you feel like you're getting older. Because like you said, we adapt, we grow as we get older, and then you'll link up with people that meet up with you at that particular level. And another thing with having new friends is like, and it may not necessarily be on the friendship tip. Like, we're at an edge right now where it's all about networking and, linking up as far as like, I'm doing this in my life, you're doing this in my life. Let's collaborate and build something more than what we have individually, So it could be more than just friendship. It could be a business relationship. It could be a social relationship. It could be all kinds of things outside of just friendship. So,
and even to add to that, because it goes back to what you were saying earlier about what's your definition of friend, right? Because you got family, but all of your family's not necessarily your friends, but they're family nonetheless, right? Because friend is a strong word, right? Whatever you use friends, the younger you are, that's the more you're going to use that word friends, right? But family, y'all might not be friends to the sense of the definition, but that bond might be there. Like, for instance, with Tone, I met Tone in my 30s, right? And yeah, I probably would consider him a friend, but I would more so consider him a brother. You know what I mean? I would more so consider him family. And just like family, if you go to a family reunion, sometimes you might go to a family reunion, you might see that cousin and, no incest or nothing. You might see somebody like, wait a minute, who is... And your people's got to tell you,
I had that happen to me once. I was like, oh. Because I ain't never seen him.
Right.
That's a whole nother conversation.
We still talk about friends, right?
Yeah. Listen, Lil brought us here.
Yeah, no, but what I was saying, where I was going with that is, you see some family members, or you meet family members later on in life, just like certain friends, they might come into your life later on. You never know when the Lord, whatever your spirituality, whatever it is you believe, the universe brings certain people into your life at certain times for certain reasons.
What you need. Yeah, it's about what you need at that time. But, I mean, just to, go back what Josh said that, he don't agree, but at the end of the day, you still got those ride or die people in your life. So I just want to clean up what I was meaning by that is that when you're in your 30s, you can look at somebody, you can meet them, and you can network with them, but 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be that actual friend.
Well, I'm saying you're more selective in your 30s. In your 20s, you're way more open to seeing
I'm reading like
people.
A book, and if it's not in any kind of way progressive in my 30s, then I'm going to move forward. And I'm not going to stick around and linger because my mind is set up where I want to go. And I got goals in my 30s, and I got more to lose versus in my 20s where I'm still figuring out who I am as a person.
That's key right there.
And I know I said let's cut. We're going to extend this segment a little bit because to your point, you were still figuring yourself out in your 20s. But in your 30s, you kind of know who you are. So wouldn't you use that same argument to say that now that you know who you are, it's possible to meet like-minded people and have genuine relationships?
But they weed themselves out. You don't even have to dismiss them. Yeah. They weed themselves out based on what you're doing. Because if you growing, you bossing up, you doing whatever you need to do, you might be in a different profession, you might live in a different city. If they can't catch your wave, then guess what? They about to drown. And you got to just keep going.
See, that's the thing. Like, well, what about situations where someone who was like more reserved and more introverted and now they're trying to meet new friends later in life and then develop that earlier, or if you move to a new city and you don't know anybody, like
it's their time to shine, and you got to let them do them. But 9 times out of 10, that introvert got them solidified friends that they're not going to invite those ones in, because when they was down or they was within themselves, they blossom. They know how to weed through the bushes. They know how to get in and out of whatever they doing. So me, I'm on that no new friends, man.
We are back. And this segment is called the Artist Spotlight. And the reason why we do the Artist Spotlight is we like to help folks who are in their 30s and feel like they cannot relate to music that comes out nowadays. We try to connect them to a younger artist or newer artist that we approve. So
like we gatekeepers?
We can help bridge the gap. We are bridging the gap.
We are dropping jewels.
Yes. And this
for your ears.
And this week's artist goes by the name of Sir. Mr. Shantone, would you mind telling us a little bit about the artist named Sir?
All right. So, the Spotlight artist is pretty dope, right? And I'm really getting into West Coast artists, and everybody always kind of like leaves the West Coast out because of stuff that's going on, of course, on the east side of the United States. But Sir, he's from Inglewood, California, and he was actually, he signed to Top Dog Entertainment, so everybody know Kendrick, right?
Kendrick, SZA,
Isaiah Rashad.
Yeah, he's nice.
Absol, man. Can't forget about the home.
Like Eazy-E.
Yeah, he do, man.
Fire artist, right? But Sir is kind of unique in this regard because he is actually, backed by a lot of previous artists who have paved the way for the music industry. So he was an engineer for Tyrese. He actually did some songwriting for Usher on the Caught Up joint. Nice. He did Michael Jackson's Butterflies.
He did the beat.
We dropping jewels, the beat.
He did the beat.
Okay.
Yes.
I always thought that was like a Floetry joint.
Yeah, Butterfly. Yeah. So he an older artist, or is he
wrote? He wrote some words for it, and he did some beating and producing for it.
Okay.
So he did stuff for Genuine, Jill Scott, Stevie Wonder.
Nice.
So this young guy here is the truth. He's solidified behind a lot of major artists, right? That's just, Michael Jackson, we ain't got to say no more.
Absolutely.
So, I want you to most definitely check out a lot of his actual tracks. He did work with actually our next week's spotlight artist, which we're gonna be talking about, Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
So that's the next week.
Okay.
We're gonna spend a little bit more time on him next week too.
Very underrated.
Okay.
Anderson
Now,
.Paak.
before we stop, can you give everyone maybe a couple songs they could check out?
The first one that I got put on to was actually a couple weeks ago, which he dropped his album earlier this year. That is called Devils.
Okay.
So this track is super cool because just the whole beat and the vibe is just getting you into that mode where you in your regular work week on a Wednesday or Thursday when you tired and you like, hey, I need to just get up. Listen, you need to actually pop this actually in. So the album is called November, right? November. And it's called Devils, but it's actually the Evils. So the vibe, it's got that little twist
Lord,
on it.
the one that can be saved.
So it's like an ode to Reasonable Doubt to hold the evils.
Yes.
Okay.
So just pay attention, listen. He rap a little bit, sing a little bit. He's just very talented. So
That's what's up.
Hey, everybody, download it, put it in your tape deck. If you got tape still, CDs, MP3s, I don't care. Let's go. He old school, so I even listen to him on the vinyl.
Nice.
So facts.
So remember where you heard that first.
So,
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Thompson, 30-something podcast, and we just wanted to have a discussion about the recent events that happened out in the YouTube headquarters out in California, where there was a recent shooting where a woman who was an employee at YouTube essentially had a disagreement or had some issues with their employer at YouTube and decided to bring her 9mm Smith & Wesson over to the YouTube campus and shoot 3 individuals, 2 of which have recently been released from the hospital, and 1 is still in critical condition. And which brings us to the conversation of we're in our 30s, we're all working professionals, and I know we all deal with these issues with working and having these issues.
corporate America ain't safe.
Nah.
It never was.
It never really is. And, we get upset at our bosses, we get upset, and then, how we process that stress. Yeah. It manifests itself in many different ways, and one of which we've seen here, it turns ugly.
Indeed. Now, from my understanding, I haven't read all of the, the full, rundown of whatever the news wants us to know. But from my understanding, I'm not sure if she was an employee. From my understanding, I actually think she, you know how like on YouTube, how you can have like a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you might talk about cooking, you might talk about whatever you're talking about, and you get paid a certain amount of money from it. But a lot of people have been complaining lately that YouTube has been censoring, and I think that was her issue. She was saying her page has been censored, and since they're censoring, it's not a lot of people going and seeing it, and that's cutting into her money.
I have seen that because I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I've seen a lot of channel owners talk about the policies that YouTube have been changing and how they want their channel holders to curse less, to censor their content, which is essentially goes against why they had a channel in the first place.
Exactly.
To express their opinions and not be censored.
Exactly. And the thing is, again, I don't know all of the full details, and call me a conspiracy theorist or conspiracy buff or whatever term you want to, dismissive term you want to use, but I'm from the school of thought that I don't necessarily go with what's the the news, quote unquote news, is telling me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know the whole story of it, and I know they're gonna paint it a certain way. And it's kind of like with the the school shootings, and I'm not gonna go into all of that, but I do know that some things are false flags and different things like that. So again, I don't know the full details of the situation, but I do know corporate America can be kind of crazy. Me, like Tone, I don't want to put like everything out, but we've discussed before if something happens.
We have exit strategies.
Yeah, we had exit
You got to
strategies.
keep your head on the swivel. You got to keep your head on the
We
swivel.
know how to get out. Guess what? Okay,
And then, like, some of the details of this, like, apparently she was so disgruntled, like, she was at a gun range, shooting at the gun range with a 9mm Smith & Wesson hours before she was upset.
Man.
Then slept in her car hours before deciding I'm gonna release this stress. So,
so I'm not sure if this is gonna make it to YouTube, but YouTube, we don't have any issue with you.
No issues. Yeah. We got no problems.
We are fine with your rules.
Right. Or YouTube, subscribers, or if you got a channel on YouTube, we pro all of y'all. If I come to work and I see you sleeping in your car, I'm gonna ask you, do you need some covers or you need some
bottle of water?
The one thing that I will say is that I wish that the news coverage would be consistent, and they would call this lady a terrorist.
Right.
Just like I wish they called the gentleman in Vegas that shot up people at the concert a terrorist. Or the guy down here in South Carolina that shot up the church a terrorist.
Right.
And I just wish that our political leaders, not to get into politics, but I wish that they would call these people by the term that fits them, and that's a terrorist.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you right there. And like you said, not to get political, but if we're going to be, straightforward and we're going to be real and honest with the listeners and, such, I notice a pattern of who they may deem these titles, right? Yeah. I notice if you look a certain hue, if you got a certain name,
they're more inclined to use that term.
Yeah, they'll use those type of terms, but if you look like kind of like the people who are determining what the title is, you may not be called that, right?
Hey, was the dude that actually was shooting at the cops in Dallas and they ended up killing with the drone? Did they consider him a terrorist? Did they label him as that?
Because I think it was a black guy, right?
But he wasn't found alive.
No.
Right.
And I don't know. I have my theories on if this black guy was actually the person doing the shooting.
And the thing is, the way they destroyed him, they used a android. I mean, not an android, but they used like a robot to get him. And that was like, I want to say that was the first time that has happened.
Yeah. It's kind of fishy to me.
Man.
It was very fishy. Yeah, this whole event has opened up a lot of doors and brings up a lot of questions, including political labeling of domestic terrorism, of gun control in the United States, censorship, especially in the social media realm, and especially one of our main grievances was revenue sharing and content distribution. So in this new age of 2018, there's a lot of things that we need to address.
And if you think about it, it's kind of funny. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the net neutrality with that topic and how all of these things are happening. And if you notice within the last year alone, from the Kaepernick situation with the NFL, with net neutrality, with this going on, with all of these shootings,
and these crazy sponsorships, and nerves. Listen, it's aggravating. So even to pinpoint the fact that every time it's a shooting, the value of purchase of actual firearms goes up even higher, which stimulates, the economy. And I mean, me personally, I have family that are actually officers. I believe in being able to protect myself. I do personally carry a firearm, but people kill people.
Right.
So me personally, I've never had to have a psych eval, but at the end of the day, I do qualify to be able to carry a firearm and be safe about it. And I think the main change of the community and America should be where if you're not at a certain age or mental capacity to be able to hold a firearm, you shouldn't have access to it in that regard. So we can start there,
right,
and then figure it out the rest as it goes along. But I think psych evals and age limits need to be, regulated, because you can go to war at 18, do service for your country.
Right.
About 15, 20, 60 to
100,000
bodies.
Things are coming to a head because, over the past 10 years, these shootings, these incidents are increasing. So at some point, the citizens of the United States and our representatives in Congress and politics, they're going to have to, answer for what's going on right now, because these things, these situations aren't slowing down. And
right. And then even to the agree, even with when the Constitution was originally penned, and these different amendments came about, and you notice a lot of contradiction, and you notice a lot of the politicians, they'll interpreted a certain type of way, right? And Tone, when you talk about, you know, as far as age limit and sight, because I carry myself. I got a concealed weapons permit and all of that, and I believe in, you know, the right to bear arms. And I don't, myself personally, I don't necessarily think that it's wise for citizens to release their rights to be able to bear arms in case their privacy is infringed upon, right?
Correct.
In case, because if someone because you're, you know, quote unquote law enforcement or quote unquote the government, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're right. It doesn't necessarily mean that what you're planning on doing is ethical. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is something. Exactly. And I want to be able to not only protect myself first and foremost, I want to protect those that I love and those who can't protect
and that goes
themselves.
far beyond like United States right. That's your right as a living being on this
Absolutely.
earth. Like you have the right to defend yourself against things that could harm you or the ones you love. So
Right.
Yeah.
and that's nothing no law could, you know, stop you from doing.
And the thing is, they can make a million laws. They can take away all the guns and all of that stuff. That a law never stopped a criminal, right? What criminals don't necessarily follow laws, right? Or they don't follow the laws that the government say. They follow their laws. You know what I mean? So,
Facts. Big facts. You ain't gonna stop nobody from hitting you with the ski mask.
right, the ski mask way.
So, our last topic that we want to discuss today on the 30-something podcast is about actual health, right? We always talk about, you know, hip-hop, you know, current events, you know, things to do, what not to do in your 30s, but we most definitely want to always, you know, most definitely sneak in about topics of health, right?
Absolutely.
Got to, man.
So, you know, the actual discussion is going to actually have, you know, what's the most popular health steps, you know, that you actually take in your 30s. And I want to start off with, you know, 2 pinpoint ones that are important. For one, me, mental health. So I take care of my mentality first. You know, in my 30s.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. Yeah,
I meditate.
And I've heard there's like different misconception on what exactly meditation is. Is it just like breathing in and out? Do you just sit there and not talk? Or
how do you meditate?
How do you meditate?
I usually get into, it's either 2 different ways. I go into nature. You know, I might sit into an actual park. I might sit in my car. Just turn off everything and actually close my eyes and listen to everything that's around me and clear my thoughts. Or I can be actually in the house and I'll actually change my breathing by, you know, just breathing in through my nose, out my mouth, making sure it's quiet to, again, clear my thoughts. Because if I'm not mentally prepared for my every day-to-day tasks, work, relationships, the dog, friends, family, I can't be great for others. So,
and the key point you mentioned between the 2 methods was just clearing your thoughts. And I think that's the most important thing. Stop thinking about the things that are causing you stress. Don't stop worrying about the job, the family. How am I going to get this promotion? All that, just turn all that off and just relax.
Because it's going to open up different channels of, you know, being able to progress. So that meditation and the mental health, that's important. But also on the physical side of health, I've been lax and lazy in the gym. It's hard in your 30s to get motivated because you get on that wave and that path. You know, you want to detox, get the exercise, get it going.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're like, hey, I got paid this weekend. Let me go get that bomb pizza and that beer. So it's hard. It's hard.
Now let's speak to that hard part. I thought it was tougher because for those who don't know, 2 of us are from Cleveland, but 3 of us are from the Midwest. So so you definitely could fit into this as well. Florida boy.
Let's talk about it.
You gotta hold on. You gotta hold on for this one real quick.
I'm listening.
Okay. I thought it was hard in Cleveland, man. Like, cause so back in the day, I used to work in Maple, and I lived in Bedford, and it was pretty much just around the corner. And days when it was 20 degrees outside, it's a Friday. Those were the days I said, "Oh, I'm about to just go get a pizza, go home, grab the beers. Bar. Yeah. But here it's warm most of the time. Like I feel more motivated down here in the hot weather, you know, to get out there and exercise. I don't know. Is that I know you find yourself more motivated now, or is
just
it
based off location? I mean, where you at? No, we're not going to drop the spot where we're at. But anyway, it's we're in North Carolina, so it's a little bit spacious, and my location where I'm at is less. I guess commute or things to do because we don't have sidewalks where I live.
Got it. Okay.
And like street lights because it's a little bit more dark and it's not rural. It's still city, but it's not like city. So where you live, Josh, I would be motivated too. You have people running in the neighborhood. You're in a great location. Okay. I promise you.
Well, I know one of the biggest issues for working out in your 30s is just time, you know. You're spending like 8, 10, 12 hours sometimes at work. You get home, you're exhausted. You still got some side project you might be trying to do on your own. Like it's hard to prioritize working out when you got all these other things going on.
You get that email for an outing with business.
Exactly. Your social life, you're still trying to be out and about.
It's tough. Let me tell y'all, I work out about 4 or 5 days a week. I don't look like it. I'm not jacked, but I ain't big though. I'm short, so it's like I can't be short and like fat. You know what I'm saying? so
it's gotta be one or the other.
Young Danny DeVito.
And I'm short. So I make sure I stay in the gym because of that. But I'll be honest with y'all, if I was like 6'1", 6'2",
you like forget it.
I'd be like, man, forget it, because I could be tall and big. I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's more accepted. You know?
And I think it's something you kind of like alluded to right there. You kind of alluded to like the lack of discipline. You know what I mean? Giving yourself permission to be lazy, giving yourself permission to not be on top of your game. Because myself personally, I'll do detoxes. I strive to detox at least 3 to 4 times a year, right? So I'll do like a 20-day detox, raw, vegan, no meat, no alcohol, no anything.
Just like, Lil, I got that bottle of Henny outside. They be like, nope, Tom.
Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm on this detox.
Hey, that is discipline.
You know what I mean?
That's commendable.
Dr. CV Herbs.
And I'll do that, and everyone will look at me, and I, lost weight, and I don't do it to lose the weight. I do it just for health as well. And then I'll go back to eating mad reckless, drinking, all of that type of stuff. Yeah. And honestly, I think it's more of a because life is short, right? It's you never know when the ending of the be here. No one knows the ending, right?
You want to lay that boy up.
Yeah, you want to live it up.
Chicken wing, I'm gonna tear that boy up.
But you want to also live it. I see myself living and seeing my grandchildren, and I don't want to take a million different pills, right? I don't want to have arthritis. I don't want to have all, and with the current state of health in America, in the U.S., like we grew up, we knew about the food pyramid, right? They telling us
that whole
pieces
thing was a lie. It was the whole food pyramid away.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And we grew up thinking that was the truth, right? We think we grow up, man, milk. It make you strong with the milk commercials,
man,
and we at the
supposed to be drinking that milk,
man.
Eating like 5 loaves of bread a day and
just destroying ourselves. And it's like when you take these habits on, and when you work in those patterns and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to break. How the saying goes? Old habits die hard, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I can't stand the fact that I see my peers in their 30s. Okay, I'm hating. Okay, but the cats that be in the gym, they all rocked up. Got abs. The chicks got the muscles and the thick thighs, and they all fit. They drinking their skinny tea. My thing is that if you got abs, that means you're not eating. How?
I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I think
it's a diet.
But your metabolism slows down literally at 28.
But there's things that you can do to offset it. You can do cardio.
You can
run.
Unless I got a basketball in my
I would say this. like just being someone that works out, and I'm a pescatarian, so you know I eat seafood. It is, but you can balance. But I drink. You know what I'm saying? I drink. So if I know that I'm drinking, I'll probably drink a bunch of water early in the day. I'll eat like a big salad or something before I go out, and then usually when I go out, the first drink I usually have is like a sugar-free Red Bull. And that's my first drink, and that's just so I have something in my hand when I'm like hanging out. And then my second drink might actually be an alcoholic beverage, you know. So there's certain things that
you say
that you
in
can
your
do.
30s you planning a little bit better.
I'm planning because the hangover, the recovery is not as easy as it was.
Listen, we're going to extend this podcast real quick. We're going to talk about hangover remedies.
Well, I just got one thing to talk about health because I've been on my whole holistic tip. So the body itself, it's designed to heal itself.
Absolutely.
It's designed to take care of itself. So if you just maintain it, it will treat itself. So there's only a couple of things you really have to do for your body to, take care of itself. Yeah. You need to sleep. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. You need to sleep at least 8 hours. And I know that's a lot, but 8 hours of sleep is a key for the body to, maintain itself. Mm-hmm. What you put in your system, like mostly vegetables with some protein. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I've read. That's the key. Some movement throughout the week. I think the government, or like 30
minutes a day.
30 minutes a day. I think 150 minutes throughout the week if you spread it out.
They're inaccurate, so I'm gonna say 45.
Yeah.
Fellas, I think it's we have a responsibility on this podcast to also mention one more thing, and that's going to the doctor and getting checked.
Yeah,
indeed.
We don't do that.
Especially being black man, and I'll be honest, I had my period of time where I was, you don't want to go, or this or that, but yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta get your checkups and see where you're at. Wow. It's like we take our cars to go get oil changes, and we get gas, and we go to the grocery store. We gotta do the same thing with our
what's that fear going to the doctor? Like what's
you're afraid they're gonna tell you you're gonna die. You're gonna go there and you feel fine, and you go there and they're gonna tell you, "Oh yeah, this is wrong with you. This is wrong with you."
So let me share with you my personal story. When I was 7. My great uncle was in a hospital and he was dying, and I was little, and I just remember him laying in the hospital bed saying, "Help me," and that was traumatizing.
That is traumatizing.
So I never wanted to go to the.
So that sticked in your mind all through adolescence into adulthood.
And then after that, growing up, every time I would go to the hospital, I would see somebody that was probably more so in a nursing home, but it was all the same thing to me. It was always something was wrong, something is, someone's sick. It wasn't implanted in my head that people go there to get better, or people go there to get checkups.
You go there to die.
Yeah. So I don't want to give anybody the misconception. I always went to the hospital, but there was always that thought of just seeing my uncle in a hospital bed, and that kind of gave me a bad
and I think a lot of people have similar stories like that, where you have a loved one that you remember going to see them in a hospital, they're in like their dying bed, and you're kidding, you're seeing them not in their best state, and they're lying there, and that stick in your head. So when you go to the hospital, you see that image in your head, like.
And I want to say this: my grandmother's a nurse, and she would tell me that people wouldn't go to the hospital. So by the time they got to the hospital, they were sicker, than they should have been, and where things maybe could have been prevented. Yeah, if they
that's the thing. You got to be proactive about your health.
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
So I just wanted to make sure that we call that out, especially on this podcast. Is go to the doctor.
Exactly. Be proactive about your health.
Yeah, absolutely. Health is wealth. You know what I mean?
We're trying to be rich.
Blame it on the lose, got you feeling loose, blame it on the throne, got you feeling.
All right, so on the lighter side of things, because that last segment kind of went for the view.
It was relevant. It was pertinent.
So we gotta have those talks sometimes.
We gotta have those talks,
right? But on the lighter side of things is that our last and on the way out of our podcast, I want to thank everybody today, for coming in. Most definitely our future guests, more than often. Khalil,
you have to come back some more, man.
For sure,
we might have to sign him, y'all.
We might have to talk business at the end of this podcast.
5-year contract.
Fact. Facts. You ain't getting
no
Allen
trade
Houston,
option.
No Allen Houston contract. None of that. But yeah, we want to talk about one cool thing is that everybody in here I know for a fact likes to drink, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So we want to talk about what's your vice that actually gets you over to the point where you actually be in that Metron phase. And if everybody doesn't know what the Metron is that when you are super lit, but you good, where you still can function and you know how to, go where you at. But then the Metron can go real bad and pour over to where it's a bad night, right?
That's like a thin line.
So the Metron is that good place.
That's a thin line.
So my personal vice is that I can drink anything under the sun, but wine. Wine is my vice, right? So I promise you, I can sit there and maybe about 5-6 years ago, I could finish 3/4 of a bottle of Hennessy, right?
Oh man,
and be fine and functioning the next day like it's not a big deal. But I promise you, shout out to the Noops in Cleveland that throw the Kappa boat ride because it's a good time. I can't hate.
Shout out to Ricky Ruckus.
And
old school DJ Cochise.
Hey, listen, good times. But every time I went to that Kappa boat ride, they had regular beer and wine, and the bottles of wine were $10.
Man,
you can't beat that.
One bottle of wine and had a cigar, and I don't know how I got home. So wine is my vice, but the recovery.
Well, your kryptonite, not the vice.
That's that's the straight kryptonite Superman.
Hey, can we pause real quick before you continue? I'm shocked to know that you have a kryptonite. I done hung out with this dude. Hey, I am nowhere on this guy's level.
Facts.
My birthday, he kept buying drinks, and we were out with another friend, and we were both looking at each other every time he would go to the bar and come back with drinks. Like,
no, we still doing this?
We were like, no. I swear.
Keep going.
And you know who I'm talking about. He ended up leaving. He ended up leaving early. He said he had to go. No, he was scared of the drink. All right, so I just had to say I'm shocked that you have kryptonite when it comes to alcohol. But
so
I digress.
So what actually gets me back right is that if I make it home, and I have to take 2 of whatever Tylenol, Advil, whatever have you. Drink minimal water.
Yeah.
But it's either 2 things. It's either drink a full Sprite, right? And Tylenol, Advil, whatever have you. Or if you're super fancy and you really got to do something the next day, I'm hitting you with that Pedialyte. So I'm hydrating like crazy.
Tried and true.
But the goal is to remember to do it before you go to sleep. Because if you're super lit, you're going to forget. So you're a champion if you remember to do those tricks. Wow. What's your vice?
Well, my vice, I'm a whiskey guy.
Okay.
I drink whiskey, usually Jack. I'll do like Hennessy sometimes. Cognacs, all that. So that's my vice. I'm usually good for the most part. I don't get too hungover most of the times, but when I do, some of my better remedies was beforehand, and I just got put onto this. You ever mess with that BC powder?
No.
You know what BC powder is?
I know what it is.
Yeah, it's like ground up aspirin, I believe. And then you take it, like you mix it with
blue
water.
Or yellow pack?
It's blue and white.
Right.
It's like a goodies. Is that what
it's kind of like goodies? Yeah.
They keep that in corporate America for the goodies, man.
Man, they got the other good. They got those goodies, man.
Let's hold that topic. Let's hold off on that one.
So it's essentially like a preventative measure. Like if you think you're really gonna go in that night, you just take BC powder with a full glass of water, and then you should be good. You should wake up tomorrow with like nothing. Pedialyte is also tried and true. That's definitely came through, but you definitely got to drink it beforehand, before you go to sleep. Or if you forget, like you might have to nurse that like throughout the day, the next day. Gatorade is cool, but Pedialyte is really the good one because they pack in the electrolytes in that.
Wow.
Because that's what happens when you get hungover. Your body's depleted of electrolytes. So you're like dehydrated on another level.
This is an interesting topic because the last time I think I ever was that messed up, was when I was hanging with this guy.
I'm sensing the trend here.
Yeah. Now I will say CIAA was kind of tough for me as well, but just drinking a bunch of
If
water.
you guys don't know about that, it's a great time in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And plus All-Star Weekend coming here in 2019. That's another topic.
It's gonna be crazy.
We'll talk about that later.
We might be down there recording when we're doing this.
Man,
Just throw that out there.
might have some ball players that weekend on the podcast.
Oh, you might
by
get a
that
special
point,
guest
you know
on this
what I mean?
podcast.
Yeah. But I just
Somebody reach out to J.R. Smith, man.
no.
We're gonna get switched on the podcast.
We need Hitty. We need
But
maybe
Anything
Hitty.
is possible.
Yeah, but I would just say just drink a lot of water. You know,
Yeah,
just
that's
drink
the
a lot
ultimate
of
key.
water.
Drink water before,
Water
during,
give you a
and
headache
after.
automatically.
But you just stay hydrated.
What's your remedy?
Yes, I mean, so I'm a fellow partaker of the alcoholic beverages.
The libations.
Absolutely. I go over the top. You know what I mean? I'm the type that alcohol is one of my vices, and I'm one of the
Side
type
note
that.
to my brother, he's the funniest when he's lit because he becomes the poet for real. He gonna send you that text message that's a paragraph and a half or a page.
Oh, we got Langston Hughes over here?
Listen, he done some funny stuff on that phone, boy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to segue to. When I'm drinking, I need to get my phone away. I done closed a lot of deals, and I done made sure deals wasn't ever.
Wait a minute,
gonna
are you
be
saying
closed,
you
know what
up
I mean?
text at 2 in the morning? Is that what we're talking about?
Man, it may be 2 in the afternoon that I was drinking, and I'm like, what you
doing?
You know what I mean? What you doing? You know what I mean? But one of my remedies, it was originally, because water, you definitely want to be hydrated or whatnot. Quick thing you could do if you got like some apple cider vinegar, make sure it's like some organic apple cider vinegar.
Like Bragg's?
Definitely got to be Bragg's with the mother in it.
Yes.
The Bragg's, yeah. Pour like a teaspoon or a cap in the water. Drink that. Iron your clothes. Hop in the shower. As soon as you get out the shower, it's gone. And my lady and I, we actually have like a holistic company, and we actually make headache relief. Like all natural stuff. So we just roll it, like you can roll it on your forehead or roll it on your temples. It's like some oils. I don't want to give away like the ingredients. But,
I was listening too. Write it down.
But it'll get you right together. So that's what I do now. But before that, I would use like the apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The Bragg.
Yo, I've heard so many different health benefits from the apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, indeed.
Helps with health, hangovers, weight loss, all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
But so does diet and exercise.
Yes.
So-
More importantly
Sorry.
so. Let's bring it back home to what really works.
All right. Anything else to add?
Nah, we good, man. I definitely want to thank our guest, Khalil,
absolutely.
man.
Man, I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for allowing me to even be able to share this day, this podcast moment with you fellas. You know what I mean?
Appreciate
All right,
you.
everyone. Be blessed.